we doing, chaps? It's been a little while since I've done one of these pre-fight prediction videos. As you can probably hear in my voice, I'm a little bit ill. I've also been quite busy, but I figured I'd give my 2 cents on this fight. However, before I do, I just want to shout out Punch Perfect Boxing. Not that he really needs a shout out, his channel's massive, massively bigger than mine. But he did a really good, comprehensive pre-fight prediction on this fight. So if you haven't seen it, I'd recommend it. Check it out. I'll make sure to leave it in the comment section below. But yeah, my 2 cents on this fight. Leigh Wood versus Michael Conlan, taking place in Nottingham Arena for Leigh Wood's WBA World Featherweight title. Leigh Wood is someone who, of late, many people have been asking me my opinion of him. And that's understandable, seeing as last July he had his breakout performance, I guess you could say, against Kanzu, in which he won the WBA Featherweight title. And yeah, naturally he's being talked about now. He's a champion of sorts. And so I've seen him, and I'm not massively impressed. I think he's good. I think he's a good, serviceable fighter. But there's nothing that, when I watch him, jumps out at me. There are rumours that he's a massive puncher, but his record doesn't really suggest that he is. However, playing devil's advocate and just being realistic, punching power isn't always reflected in a fighter's record. Sometimes you can have big-time punching power, but just you don't have the skill to land your punches and knock out your opponent. So that's fair enough. He probably is a decent puncher. But technically, nothing jumps out at you. He's good, like he's a good, decent talent, but there's just nothing special there. There have been, in my opinion, many more talented featherweights in recent years than Leigh Wood. And as Punch Perfect Boxing pointed out, I feel like there's like an element of that Kanzu performance really flattering Leigh Wood, because from what I've heard, Kanzu was out of the ring for a little while, and technically he's just poor. He's quite awful. So going in against that kind of guy who is rusty, if you're Leigh Wood, you're gonna really shine, and that's exactly what he did. If you see that fight, you see for yourself. Michael Conlan is someone who I'm a bit more familiar with because I've watched more of his fights, both professional and amateur. I was actually quite looking forward to seeing Michael Conlan turn pro when he was in the Olympics, because I just felt that his style in the pros, he'd blossom a bit more. And you do get that sometimes guys, they're just not made for the amateurs. They have a different approach to boxing. And Michael Conlan's approach is very much to get stuck in. He's not really a boxer in the stereotypical sense of the word. He likes to go for it. He likes to kind of impose himself, express his athleticism, because he is quite athletically gifted. And yeah, he likes to go for it. He likes to try and hit guys hard, and not so much often, but up close, mid-range and close range, he will let his shots fly. And he's been working with Adam Booth for a little while now, and it feels like, from what I've seen, he's really been able to harness his athleticism. However, myself and many other people who I talk boxing with, we were excited to see Conlan turn pro, but since he has, just been very, very disappointed. He's been quite underwhelming to watch, hasn't really secured any notable names, and even the fights he has had, it's just unimpressive, you know, quite hard to watch at times even. And you know, if you look at his record, Michael Conlan, who is there really? You know, Jason Cunningham, Vladimir Nikitin, Yanok Baluta, who's that? TJ Doheny. See, there's no one there of note. And so many people talk about Leigh Wood having the massive jump up from kind of domestic level to world level. You could say that that's what Michael Conlan is doing now. So, excuse me. I see this as being quite an even fight, especially stylistically, because, excuse me, with these two, I feel like they both have strengths that they possess that they can use to exploit the other, because they have what the other needs. And sounds a little bit convoluted, but let me break it down. So when I see Leigh Wood, he's relatively upright, doesn't have the most head movements, not the most dynamic in his stance or his guard. However, he utilizes quite a high volume of probing shots with the lead hand, the left hand this is, to set up his right hand. Very rarely uses the right hand as a setup for the left though. I remember seeing it once in the Kanzu fight, but and he could do it effectively, but he just doesn't seem to value it that much and do it that often. So he can be a little bit one-dimensional when it comes to setting up his punches. But he's quite busy with the lead hand, even though he's quite static on the centre line for the most part. Michael Conlan, on the other hand, being of that athletic style, that Adam Booth style, he's always very dynamic, constantly slipping to the left, to the right, and you're very dynamic, which is good. You like to see that. However, he has a much lower volume of straight shots, controlling shots. So he's not bridging the gap as often as Leigh Wood is. So you notice how if Michael Conlan has the head movement and the kind of dynamic element, but lacks the volume of straight shots to bridge the gap, whereas Leigh Wood has the volume of straight shots to bridge the gap, but lacks the dynamic element. So you can see how potentially both guys could take advantage of each other, because you have to imagine that Leigh Wood's going to be a bit busier at long range. However, when he's just being busy with that lead hand, is he really conscious of what may come back? Is he able to disengage and then be defensively responsible? Because sometimes he will, he'll be busy with the lead hand up top, and then he'll shoot and really stab in quite a decent jab to the body. However, he's not very defensively responsible afterwards. And after landing that jab to the body, if he's just gonna lay there and not be defensively responsible, he's then going to be within range of Michael Conlan, who, as soon as you're in range, that's when it seems he feels most comfortable to let his shots go. But how will Michael Conlan deal with moving around that very frequent lead hand? Because he is, he's no stranger to moving his head, and he can actually do it quite well. His guard doesn't always follow him, so I imagine he can get clipped. But for the most part, I can see this fight starting and Michael Conlan being sharper early. Not because Leigh Wood is a slouch early on, but I just feel like the athleticism, the sharpness, the style of Michael Conlan, he's going to get off to a pretty quick start. However, I do feel that when it comes to power, Leigh Wood will land eventually and might be able to intimidate Michael Conlan a little bit and kind of stop Michael Conlan from being too adventurous. And I believe that might come after about 4 rounds potentially. And then by that point, I think we're going to see a bit more movement from Michael Conlan, who is a good mover. Many people have said they doubt that Michael Conlan has the power to intimidate Leigh Wood, and therefore if Leigh Wood isn't intimidated at all, he starts to march forward, and it's going to be a hard night for Michael Conlan, which is certainly understandable. However, I don't think Conlan needs the power. I think he just needs to be sudden enough. He needs to be able to land a flush shot and disrupt and dent Leigh Wood's confidence. And so I'm actually having quite a tough time when it comes to picking a winner in this fight. Because at first I felt, when this fight was first announced, I actually saw this as being a step up for Conlan. Whereas I still see it as being as being a step up for Conlan, but yeah, I feel like this is going to be a close fight. If someone was to get dropped, I think it would be Conlan, because I've seen him drop before, potentially stopped maybe if Leigh Wood's able to string together enough punches, because I do think that Michael Conlan has heart. It's just, I'm going to go, I'm tempted to say a draw, to be honest. I'm tempted to say a draw. I could see it, I could just sense it going the full 12 rounds of quite close back and forth, to the point where they can't really determine a winner, the judges that is. So I could see it being a draw, but I feel like I'd be sitting on the fence if I said that. I'm going to go for Leigh Wood. I feel like Leigh Wood at long range, a little bit busier, which may not be great, but I think for the most part he's going to do a better job of eventually pinning Michael Conlan down. And I feel like he's just going to land a few more shots and kind of keep Michael Conlan within himself, kind of take away that audacity from Michael Conlan and maybe tame him a little bit, and probably go to a 12-round unanimous decision. Yeah, so I'm going to go Leigh Wood unanimous decision. This isn't my most comprehensive breakdown video, but I'm not particularly hyped for this fight, I have to be honest. Neither fighter is someone who I find particularly entertaining to watch. But hopefully this is an entertaining fight. Let me know what you think of this fight in the comment section below. What's your take? And what do you make of my prediction and breakdown? Leave it down below. I'll get back to you. If you could like, comment, share and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next video.